What's up, crew? Welcome back to the Libertalia Game Supply. Today we're going to take a look at this Bujin Brigade Master Duel deck list. So on the TCG version of this list that I posted about a week ago now, I got asked how I would adjust it for Master Duel, so I had to go back and see which cards actually exist in Master Duel, what the ban list looks like, and then I adjusted it to be what you're looking at right now. I think this build also got me a little bit closer to maybe optimizing the TCG version of the build as well. Obviously there are some weird ratios like Fractal at 2 because it's at 2 in Master Duel that I wouldn't do in the TCG, and so there would still be some slight tweaks, but I think I've slowly worked my way into streamlining the way I want the deck to function. The only other difference here is the Armored Xyz stuff does not exist in Master Duel yet, and so I built this one to be able to do F-Zero, because that's what Bujins do, baby. So with this list right here, your main 2.5 card combo, I guess technically is, I don't want to say it's a 5 card combo because it's not. You would need a Fractal, a Torifun, any other Tri-type monster, and then the rest of your opening hand. So because you would need the discards for Bearbrum, but with those two cards, plus the 0.5 being the Tri-type, and then any type of discard fodder, you can go F-Zero, Appaloosa, and Revolt in the back row with enough loaded up in your banish zone to make a charade with that banish and search on your opponent's turn. Now to do all that is an extremely long line of card activations that you need to hit. It's very susceptible to being Nibiru'd, so in this version of the deck I'm playing the maximum protection from hand traps here, and then I decided to main the hand traps that were either just ridiculously good or the ones that were going to be the biggest problem, so we can cross-out designator them if we need to. But I think the beautiful thing about this deck versus just like a pure Bujin deck is that it gives you a lot of options to play around getting stopped, which you don't really have in a regular Bujin deck. If Torifun gets shut down, that's about it. Unless you opened a really nice hand, you're probably done for the turn. In this one, you usually have a couple of different starter card options, and you're not going to be able to end on the F-Zero, Appaloosa, Revolt board necessarily, but you can still do some decent stuff. So I guess we can quickly explain ratios. Fractal's at 2 because it's at 2, otherwise it'd be at 3. Cross is at 2 because it doesn't have an effect when it goes to the graveyard like the other two, and it's not a starter like Fractal. And so it's a really good card, but having it is only good in addition to having all of your other stuff. Otherwise, you'd rather just search it off the Nerval or something. Triple Kit because it's a Foolish Burial. Triple Nerval because it's a free search. Triple Torifun because it's a Bujin deck. Double Arasuda. This, I was deciding between the Arasuda and the Harume or double Arasuda. The only reason I picked the double Arasuda is because it's really easy to trigger at any point, just to have that extra body on board because we link summon quite a bit. It's a Beast Warrior, so it falls within the limitations that the deck gives itself. The Harume would be equally nice because it can just banish one of your Bujins that's in the graveyard, and so you're essentially hitting the same kind of setup that would be necessary to summon either of them. I left it the way you're looking at it right now because you cannot use Harume as a target off of Torifun, but if we're being real here, if you opened Torifun plus all of your targets to use Torifun with, you're gonna lose that game anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So I would maybe put one of these back as a Harume, but whatever. The Mahitatsu is way less important in a not pure Bujin build because I'm not really going to use its effect all that much unless I'm trying to load up the banish zone because like I opened Revolt or something. So it's still a fine summon. If you have it in your hand, it's still a free body on board with a discard. I guess it's not really free, but you know what I'm saying. I suppose that you can use the other version of its effect to just put a Bujin back in your hand, but there's not really many that would be beneficial for. I guess the Haruko, if you've already used it as Xyz material or something, you can put it back in your hand to rank up again, but we don't really play the targets for it anyway, so I suppose this could be something else also, but there will be some instances where you want to use that effect of Foolish Burial, a specific Bujingi, or an extra Bujingi, and so you might as well just have it. The Haruko, because it's the rank up, I'm only playing 3 Bujingis, the Centipede, the Quillen, and the Hare. The Hare was a Sinew previously. The reason I changed it to Hare is because Hare is the only one that does not rely on your opponent to do anything and doesn't require you to commit any certain action to use. So worst case scenario, if you need to force a banish for like the Arasuda or put an extra body in the banish zone or whatever, Hare can just do it as long as you have a Bujin on board. The rest of them require the Bujin on board as well as some specific game state occurring. So like Quillen pops a face-up card, Centipede pops a spell or trap. They're just really simple removal effects. The Sinew is like a Crane, so it would require the battle phase to happen. And as much as I really like that effect, Crane or Sinew really, I'm not often trying to leave a Bujin Xyz monster on board. The only time it would happen is if you want to clear the board with Susanoo, like maybe equip it with the Torifun and then Crane over something and wipe their board and banish everything. But that's really not a board state that I'm guiding the deck towards, and so if it comes up and you don't have it, I guess you don't have it. Otherwise, you can just adjust this lineup to your liking. The one Cerbero, because in the combo that you're about to see here, you're going to search it off of the Shirag, discard it for the Bear Brum, and then it's a free body to make your Appaloosa. The hand traps are triple max C because it's ridiculous. Double Nibiru because it's also ridiculous, and we want to knock it Nibiru too, so had to play the target. Double Ash. I was considering not even playing the Ash, but I figured I at least needed the target for the cross out. And if I'm playing one, I might as well play two because it's still a really good hand trap. I was just looking for anywhere I could find space for other stuff. Double Call By, double cross out because fuck hand traps. The one Pot of Prosperity because it's at one. And really, you could not resolve more than one. So in this combo that you're going to see, you use 9 cards out of the extra deck, meaning the amount of cards you have left not being used are everything that get banished off of Prosperity. If you wanted to play this as something else, I absolutely wouldn't blame you. I was playing around Small World, but there's just no good way to get it all to flow because there's so many weird, like, they're not all Beast Warriors, you can't do that. They're not all level 4, you can't do that. Nothing really slots in nice like a pure Bujin deck would. So no Small World. Small World's out, unfortunately. We do have the triple Tenki, though. Searches all of your starters, all your best stuff. The triple Airborne Assault. I was hesitant on this until I realized how well it can help you push through your own stuff getting negated. So essentially what I mean is maybe you open that hand to build your ridiculous board that has 5 negates, a banish, a steal, all that good stuff. But you go to activate that fractal and they ash you and now you don't have that fractal. Well, if you have the Airborne Assault, you can still make something. So if you fractal and they negate it, you just normal summon the fractal, make the Airborne Assault, put one of these on board, probably put the kid on board, link them away for the Farrajet. When this hits the graveyard, it's going to send the Nerval. Nerval is going to search the Karas. The Farrajet is going to special summon the Karas. The Karas is then going to banish stuff to make a new Link monster. And then you just kind of, it branches off a little bit from there on what you want to do. But it does so much in fixing your board if you get stopped, or fixing a hand if you just don't open a good amount of starters or whatever. So at 3, this felt like a really easy add to me. The one Revolt, because it's just unbelievable to have Return from a Different Dimension legal in a deck. And the one Imperm, it's a good card, it's a cross-out target. I had to make some decisions on which hand traps I wanted to have a better chance of drawing versus not, and this was just the way that it shook out in my mind. The extra deck, we got the F-Zeros, we've got the Susanoo and the Amaterasu, or both of the Susanoos and the Amaterasu. This was a Tsukiyomi at one point. I figured I'd rather have the second Susanoo, and the Tsukiyomi I did not like. Reason being, both of them would be equally hard to summon. So Tsukiyomi requires 2 level 4 lights. This requires 2 Bujins. So essentially they all require 2 Bujins in this deck because there are no light Tri-Brigade monsters. And in an instance where I could make Tsukiyomi to draw 2, or I could make Susanoo to search, the search usually ended up being more valuable. We've got the one Gaga Gaga Magician because it helps us in our combo. It gets one of these back out of the graveyard just to use as material. We've got the one Bear Brum to search the Revolt, discard 2 to special summon a banished dude. Does some good stuff, but the discard 2 is pretty heavy of a cost, so you really need it to work, and only one time, so one Bear Brum's good. Double Farrajet has that special summon, has that draw and return 1 effect that we're probably not going to use all that often. The one Rugal is just a nice middle ground. Its effects really aren't super great, but it's bigger than these guys, and it's pretty easy to get out there. Like once you've already burned through some of these other effects, you might as well throw something else out there, and it can help you close out an OTK if you need it. Triple Shirag because you will easily make a bunch of them and link them away to get the search effects and so on and so on. Setting up those banishes on either turn, like with the Revolt or whatever, is pretty nice. Just easily the most powerful Tri-Brigade extra deck monster. Also got that 3k attack. I'm not playing the Bucephalus because we're only playing 4 Spell and Trap Tri-Brigades cards, and so you're never going to summon that thing. There's no way you're ever going to load up enough in the graveyard for that requirement to be met. The one Sprite Elf, because it does have a decent amount of synergy with these guys and the Karas and the kits, and so you might as well play it. It can give you those extra free bodies on board. It's also legal in Master Duel and is not in the TCG, and so I had to play it just for that reason. And then the Appaloosa, because it's so easy to make that 4 negate Appaloosa and pass the board. That'll do it for the list. The next thing you'll see here is going to be that combo that I was talking about. So remember, Fractal plus Torifun plus any Tri-type monster in your opening hand gives you 5 negates with that steal off of the F-Zero, plus the interrupt off of the Revolt summoning and the Shirag and banishing something and the search. So pretty powerful board. Probably going to be really hard to play through. It's also not the most consistent because of how many cards it requires in that opening hand. But I think that it is beneficial to this deck that going first, if you were to open that, it sets up a really good board to pass to your opponent. And going second, we've kind of loaded up in a way to slow down, and then you can just push for an OTK instead of going for that board in particular. So here's that combo. If you got any other additional thoughts, let me know down below. If you're opening any of that 25th anniversary set with all the cool new rarity things in it, I hope you pull just the greatest stuff. I'm just looking for small worlds. Quarter century small worlds are going to be my jam, so I think I'm going to get 3 of them. Those will be my Blue Eyes White Dragons. And then I'm going to collect every other QCS small world in existence and burn them all so that nobody else can have them. So that's my plan. But in the meantime, happy deck building. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, and goodbye.